Welcome to this explainer. Have you ever just stopped to look at a towering tree, a bird in flight, or even just your own hand, and genuinely wondered how it all actually works? It is incredibly complex. Life doesn't exist in neat little boxes. To truly understand the immense, staggering complexity of living organisms, biology cannot go it alone. It has to team up with other scientific disciplines. Today we're going to look at the fascinating ways biology connects with the broader scientific world to give us the full picture of life on Earth.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Here is our roadmap for today. We're going to cover 1. The interdisciplinary biological web, 2. Physics and chemistry of life, 3. Mapping life on Earth, 4. Biological data and dollars, and finally, 5. The ultimate scientific team-up.
All right, Section 1, the interdisciplinary biological web.
So it's time to completely shatter this classic illusion of the lone biologist, right? Working in a vacuum, staring through a microscope, totally isolated from the rest of the scientific world. That simply isn't how modern science works. The linkage of biology with other fields happens because, living organisms are bound by the rules of the universe. Their functions and metabolic processes strictly follow the principles of physics, chemistry, geography, math, and even economics. Basic life activities, things we take for granted every single day, like respiration, photosynthesis, growth, reproduction, they can only be fully understood when we borrow the knowledge and techniques of these other fields. When we combine biology with another subject, we form what's called an interdisciplinary science.
Moving on to Section 2, Physics and Chemistry of Life.
Let's kick off our scientific tour by examining the inner workings of life through the foundational lenses of physics and chemistry. First up, biophysics. This is the branch of science that applies the principles and techniques of physics to study biological phenomena. Think about it for a second. Physical laws like light, energy, force, pressure, electricity, they absolutely dictate how living things operate. Because of this, biophysics is heavily used in physiology, bioenergetics, neuroscience, and pharmacology. For instance, when a plant absorbs light energy during photosynthesis, it's strictly obeying the laws of physics. Or when a nerve impulse shoots down your arm to tell your fingers to move, the movement of that impulse is following precise physical principles of electricity and energy. It's wild to think about, but our bodies are essentially walking electrical grids.
Building directly on that, we have biochemistry. This is the branch of science studying the chemical substances and processes occurring inside living organisms. Where biophysics looks at forces and energy, biochemistry looks at the structural building blocks. It deals with the structure and function of biological molecules, stuff like carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, enzymes, DNA, and RNA. It also explains the complex metabolic reactions happening inside our cells. So whenever you think of processes like cellular respiration or the specific enzyme activity happening during digestion right after you eat a meal, you're thinking about biochemistry.
Now, what's really fascinating here is how we can compare these two fields side by side to see how they interact. If we think about biophysics studying physical laws, we have examples like those nerve impulses we just talked about. And when we look at biochemistry studying chemical substances and processes, we have examples like respiration and digestion. But wait, did you notice how photosynthesis overlaps both? That is definitely no accident. A single biological process like photosynthesis requires both the physical absorption of light to capture energy and the chemical metabolic reactions to turn that energy into actual usable food. You literally cannot understand how a plant feeds itself without using both physics and chemistry. It's a total package.
Section 3. Mapping life on Earth.
Let's step back from the microscopic cells, the molecules, and the nerve impulses and shift our toolkit to look at the macro-level geographical layout of life. This brings us to biogeography. As the name suggests, biogeography is the study of the distribution of organisms in different places and at different times. It explains exactly why certain plants and animals are found only in specific regions. It looks at how climate, environment, and geographical conditions dictate where life can thrive, where it merely survives, and where it, perishes. And this perfectly illustrates the concept in action with some really tangible examples. Take polar bears. They're found mainly in the freezing Arctic region. This, by the way, is exactly why polar bears never eat penguins. Geography keeps them at completely opposite ends of the Earth. Meanwhile, malaria-carrying mosquitoes require very specific conditions, thriving almost exclusively in warm, humid areas. Cactus plants, on the flip side, grow naturally in harsh, dry deserts. Geography acts as the ultimate boundary line for biology.
The physical traits of these organisms are perfectly adapted to their specific geographical conditions. It shows us that where an organism lives is intrinsically tied to its biological makeup.
Section 4, Biological Data and Dollars.
For our next stop on the tour, we're pivoting to two highly analytical lenses that you might not immediately associate with the life sciences: statistics and economics. Let's start with biostatistics, which is also commonly referred to as biometry. This is the application of statistics and mathematics to biological research. Biology naturally generates massive and, honestly, sometimes really messy amounts of data. Biostatistics is the essential mathematical tool that helps scientists collect, organize, analyze, and successfully interpret all that complex biological data. Without math to bring order to the chaos, biology would just be a giant, confusing list of random observations.
You can see the practical applications of this mathematical lens everywhere, across some incredibly vital fields. Biostatistics is widely used in analyzing the results of medical experiments. I mean, we need it to know definitively if a new treatment actually works. It's used for calculating disease rates in a population, which is absolutely critical for public health tracking. It's even used in agriculture for comparing crop yields in research to ensure we can efficiently feed a growing world. None of this progress is possible without rigorous statistical analysis.
Next up is our final field on the tour: bioeconomics. This is the branch of science that links biology directly with economics. It studies the economic value of biological resources and compares the costs and benefits of various biological projects. In the real world, biological research and its applications require resources, right? And they often need to demonstrate a tangible societal or monetary benefit to even be pursued. So the crucial point here is seeing the direct relationship between these biological projects and their monetary value. On the one hand, we have biological resources, like developing a new crop variety, starting a fish farming operation, or scaling up livestock production. And on the other hand, we map those directly to their economic calculation, figuring out the projected profit of that new crop, estimating the economic benefits of farming those fish, and conducting a strict cost-benefit analysis of raising that livestock. You simply cannot separate the biology of the resource from the economics of producing it.
And finally, Section 5, the ultimate scientific team-up.
To wrap up this interdisciplinary tour, the core takeaway from everything we've looked at today is this: biology requires a robust interdisciplinary toolkit to understand the complete picture of living organisms. Life is simply too complex, too dynamic, and honestly too expansive for just one single discipline to explain it all. Whether you're studying the physical laws guiding a nerve impulse, the chemical breakdown of enzymes, the geographic boundaries of a desert cactus, the statistical efficacy of a new medicine, or the economic viability of fish farming, these interdisciplinary sciences are truly the ultimate scientific team-up.
Which leaves us with this final, profound thought to consider. If it takes the combined, collaborative forces of physics, chemistry, geography, math, and economics just to begin to understand a single organism, what does that tell us about the staggering, beautiful complexity of life itself? Keep that in mind the next time you look at the natural world around you. Thanks for joining me on this explainer. I really hope this helps you appreciate the incredibly interconnected web of biological science.